a dirt airstrip I was surprised to see. And Anne had her own set of challenges too, being the only one there and responsible for setup and hauling all the goods to the program. And the biggest challenge was just getting it done. It took us 8 weeks to do a 6-week program. Communication was really difficult because the community of Fort Hope has dial-up internet. As some of us remember, that's a horrific experience at best. And they have radio phones, so there's a delay. So it was difficult to communicate with Anne, and we kept our emails brief and concise and to the point. Here's some photos around Fort Hope. So that's where we held the program, in the yellow building. And there's the airport. A little different than Pearson, for those of you that might have come in through there. So some of my major successes for me personally was just the experience of being given an up-close and personal snapshot of what it must be like to work and live in a remote northern reserve, and really hit home as to how scarce healthcare and a lot of the resources are. The need for CDSMP is not only in Fort Hope or in Greenstone where I live, but throughout the Northwest LHIN, because isolation is a common thread within this region. One of the things Anne always says is her biggest success was the support that she received from her coworkers and her community, and she was delighted about that. We did attempt telehealth. It's 2009, and at the time it was 2008. We figured it would be a good thing to try. It's cost effective. So the first one was really, there was a snowstorm. It was May, and it was pixelated at the best of times, but most of it was spent disconnected. So Anne had to do all the charting, all the programming pretty much on her own. The second, however, the participants were distracted by the lawn being mowed outside of the telehealth room. So just another testament of how weather impacts so much of what we do and how we do it here in the Northwest LHIN. So some of the lessons learned, well, we know it's cost effective and the way of the future, but it definitely proved that it had its challenges for us. Anne and I felt overall that the CDSMP is a lot better done in person, as the group dynamic has a lot to do with the success of this style of program. I had a hard time seeing and hearing all the participants through telehealth. That was a big barrier for me. So the division of labor, because she was there and I was here and communication was a minimum, there was no face-to-face prep time. She'd pick me up from the plane, we'd go to the facility and we'd start right away, and then we had our first group in the morning and the second group in the afternoon. So what I had done was highlighted, in pink and yellow, the different sections that we would do, and then we would switch those for the afternoon session so that by the end of the day we had both delivered the whole program content. So here's Anne and I, and this is what I like to call our Laurel and Hardy photo. Our recent achievements are that we both attended the diabetes self-management training session here in November, and we each brought members from our communities so that we weren't left in the same boat that we were initially with the chronic disease one. And then just last month, Anne traveled to Geraldton in order to train more leaders in the CDSMP. So after 1 year, we've achieved our master trainer status. We have co-master trainers and co-facilitators each within our own communities in 2 programs that are developed by Stanford, being the CDSMP and the diabetes one. Surprisingly, when it was all said and done, Anne and I kind of felt like, wow, this ended too soon. It's been a year, but we feel like we still have a lot of work to do. So during one of our conversations when she was in Geraldton in February, we discovered that each of us aspire to take it to the next level and maybe eventually become a T-trainer through Stanford, which would mean we could train master trainers. We think that'd be a really effective way to increase the self-management capacity with the hope to work together again. These are our graduate leaders from February. We had certified 14 of them. Some of the attendees were from Fort Hope, Long Lac, Nikina, Geraldton, and we even got a couple nurses from Hearst. So they were a pretty diverse group, as I mentioned: nurses, retired teachers, health promoters, community service workers, and a few volunteers. So I like to say that there's a perfect analogy for self-management, and that's one of an old Chinese proverb, being that you give a man to fish You give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but you teach a man to fish and you give him food for a lifetime. So some of the things that we are looking at doing in the future is improving the quality of life for participants and just continuing to deliver this program, and thereby making the healthcare system more efficient. And I think that together we can do that. We can grow this program. Your referrals for those with chronic conditions is really vital to our success and the success of the Stanford programs. And again, together we need to do that to make it happen. There's 51 trained master trainers in the CDSMP and 24 in the diabetes self-management program within the Northwest LHIN. So there's really no reason why we can't grow this program. I hope my presentation will prompt you to find out more about a Stanford self-management program near you and how you can either become involved in it, support it, make referrals to it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Terri.